Okay, so we do have a Spanish interpretation tonight for anyone who needs it. You'll just have to select your language at the bottom of the screen. There's an image of a globe, and it'll give you the option of either English or Spanish. And later in the event, we'll have some breakout room sessions. And whenever you rejoin the main room, you'll have to select your language again. Otherwise, your volume will be low. And Annabella, would you please read the following slide? Thank you. Well, it's great to see everyone, and I hope you're all staying safe and well. My name is Lauren Marcelia. I'm the interim Advanced Planning Division Manager and also the General Plan Update Project Manager. And before we get started, I wanted to go through a few more housekeeping items. For tonight's event, we ask that you all speak clearly and slowly. We are recording the events and we'll post it online if you want to view it later or for anyone who wasn't able to attend. If you have any technical issues, please send us a message in the chat and we'll try to assist you. I think most of the team here has indicated whether they're a part of the general plan update team. So you can contact me or another GPU team member. If you're not speaking, please remain muted and stay on, or if you're not muted and your background noise is a little distracting, we may mute you. Next slide. So tonight we have a brief presentation prepared. We'll provide some background information on what the general plan is and why it's updated. We'll also go over Culver City's general plan update process, some of the themes that we've heard from the community and how to stay involved. And if you want to learn more about the project or sign up for updates, our project link is at the bottom. That's www.pictureculvercity.com. We'll spend the bulk of our open house in small breakout room discussion. Each breakout room will focus on a different topic in the GPU, the general plan update, and will be facilitated by members of the GPU team. If you require Spanish interpretation and want to join a breakout room discussion, please send a direct chat message to our interpreters. They're Annabella or Maya, and their names in Zoom should indicate that they're the interpreters. Next slide. And with that, I want to turn it over to our GPU team, our consultants, to introduce themselves and to kick off our meeting.
Great, thank you, Lauren. It's so good to see so many of you back at a general plan meeting. It's been a couple of months since we've done the community engagement, but we're really excited to be here tonight. My name is Yarkovich. I'm a principal at Ramey & Associates. We are the lead consultant, I think, as most of you know, on the general plan update. I'm really excited tonight because you're going to get to meet a lot of our team who you maybe haven't met through the process. We have folks who are really focused on arts and culture, parks and open space, conservation, smart cities, and many other topics. And so tonight you're going to get a chance to chat with them, talk about your ideas for the general plan update, ask questions of our team members on what policies and actions the city can do. And it's a really exciting opportunity. And we're thinking of this as an open house. So if you remember in the earlier in-person days where you'd have a short presentation and then you'd circulate throughout the room, that's really what we're going to be doing this evening in this meeting. So, but before we really get started tonight, I wanted to just really pause and acknowledge that we really do have we're coming together to really plan for a sustainable and equitable future for Culver City. And the general plan update really offers a unique opportunity to develop a long-term roadmap to make Culver City the best it can be for residents, workers, and visitors. And our goal really is, as you'll see in the vision statement, to make Culver City a place where everyone can thrive. Now, to create that future, we need to make sure that everybody is involved in the general plan process. And so you're here tonight, which we really appreciate, but we'd love it if you spread the word and get other people to engage both in the materials and look at the policy frameworks and provide those comments. This is really our chance to have these community conversations about enhancing what we love about the city, dreaming up solutions for the challenges we face, and setting a vision for the future. And really by getting more people involved, we can bring all the unique perspectives and stories that all Culver residents have to build that vibrant community. So as most of you probably know, the general plan is a long-range policy document that maps out where Culver City and how Culver City serves its community. So California law requires that every city and county in the state maintain and develop a general plan. And so everything from our parks and our shopping centers, roads, our climate actions are all a result of similar kinds of planning efforts. The plan itself sets forth a 25-year vision for the future, building on community strengths and assets while tackling new and emerging challenges. But the general plan isn't just about planning Culver City's future. It's really about coming together to plan for the challenges that we face today. So when we plan for our future, the vision and goals must also line up with what you care about now. So whether it's addressing traffic jams, social justice, or climate change, we need everyone involved to tackle the challenges that we face. Now, the state of California requires all cities and counties to address 8 mandatory elements, and those mandatory elements are listed at the top of the screen. Those include land use, circulation, housing, conservation, open space, noise, safety, and environmental justice. But the state provides communities with lots of flexibility about how and whether to address other topics of community interest. This general plan will cover all those additional topics that you see at the bottom of the screen. These things include climate change, arts and culture, community health and well-being, and more. And so tonight's an opportunity. We are going to really focus on those topics that have the gray box around them. So we brought our team members with expertise and knowledge in those areas and have really been working to take the feedback that we've heard so far and start to craft both policies and implementation actions for those different topic areas. The graphic on your screen now really shows a simplified process for the general plan update. We kicked off the process with really a discovery phase where we do things like review existing documents and policies, assessing existing conditions, and publishing a series of reports, these existing conditions reports, which help sort of set the baseline for where we are right now. We then worked with the community, general plan advisory committee, technical advisory committee, and others to really understand what you love about Culver City and what you would like to see in the future. This listening really helped us to draft the vision and core values for the general plan. We then went through a process to develop a series of land use and mobility alternatives for Culver City. And now we're moving into a phase of the project where we developed a series of policy ideas, these policy frameworks, as we call them, to address a range of topics. And so throughout the process, we've done a number of different types of community engagements. And this slide really represents some of that past engagement that's been done during the general plan process. Some of the activities like the Visioning Festival workshop, pop-ups, the speaker series, events all occurred in person before the COVID-19 pandemic occurred. And then during the COVID-19 pandemic, as you all know, we all transitioned to online meetings, engagements, and surveys. So this is just our kind of a sampling of some of that engagement that we've been doing through this process. And through that engagement process, we really worked with the community and you to develop and review a vision statement for the general plan. Now, the vision provides an umbrella for the general plan, and it really does articulate where we want to be in 2045. So Culver City in 2045 continues to be a vibrant, unique, and diverse community with a strong social and economic fabric stitched together by its arts and cultural assets, creative enterprises, high-quality services, and inclusiveness. It is a progressive and bold city leading the region to address complex challenges in housing, transportation, public health, public safety, and the environment. Its residents, workers, and businesses and its visitors enjoy smart and modern infrastructure and fiscal sustainability, stewarded by a commitment to equitable planning for future generations that will inherit Culver City as a home, as their neighbor, or as a cultural and economic destination. We have an opportunity to really root the Culver City General Plan in our community values. So throughout the process, we heard about your commitment to creativity and innovation, sustainability, equity and inclusiveness, and compassion for all. Culver City's general plan must embrace and embody those values to guide future decisions and policymaking. And while the vision tells us where we want to be in the future, and the policies and actions tell us what we're going to do, the community values really describe how we are going to do those activities. How are we going to implement those particular policies and actions? And so as you review the policy frameworks today and talk to our team about different policies and actions, you'll see the intersection between these core values and policies in those policy frameworks this evening, and you'll see them kind of illustrated with little tiny icons. And during our conversations about vision, values, alternatives, we heard about a number of issues and a lot of terrific ideas for Culver City. So we heard about arts and cultural identity, Biono Creek, small businesses, green spaces and trees, and sustainability, and so many more topics. And what we did is we really worked to catalog those ideas as we went through the process, those opportunities, and those issues that you all identified through that process. And then we really worked to incorporate them into the policy frameworks. And so tonight, we're really here to talk with you about those frameworks. These are the major topics that make up the different chapters, or what we call elements of the general plan. And really, these documents themselves, these policy frameworks, are intended to serve as an interim step in developing the general plan. We want to hear from you. Are we on the right track? Do we miss issues or ideas that you have? And then what can we do to strengthen the goals, policies, and actions to help us achieve that long-term vision for the community, while really embedding those values in the plan itself? So this slide really illustrates the basic structure of each general plan policy framework. It includes key outcomes describing where we want to be in 2045, and goals, policies, and actions that articulate how we get there. And so these goals are really an expression of community values and direction. They're usually expressed as an end state, so where we want to be. Policies are really a statement that guides decision-making as we move forward. And actions are things that the community, the city, or other partners do. They can be actions, partnerships, programs. And this general plan in particular has a strong focus on tracking and measuring performance. So we also identified a series of metrics to track progress of each of the general plan chapters or elements over time. And so that's something that the community can keep coming back to over time as the general plan gets implemented. The city can track how well it's doing towards those longer term goals and targets. So now is really the time for us to pass the mic over to you all and to hear from you about those policy frameworks. So first, I'm just going to really briefly describe what these policy framework surveys are, so you're all familiar with them. So online and on the pictureculvercity.com website, we have uploaded each of those policy frameworks that I mentioned this evening. So in each of those policy frameworks, you'll see that we've kind of tried to identify what we heard and what we learned through the process about each of those topics. And then we identify where we want to be in the future. So those are those key outcomes, performance metrics, goals, policies, and action. This is really an interim step in between where we were before and writing the general plan itself. So this is really our opportunity to really get good feedback on these initial ideas. These surveys will be up until December 16th, so just about a month from now. And you can see that all of the frameworks online at pictureculvercity.com/policy frameworks. So each of these surveys, you can go in, look at the policy framework, you can zoom in and out, flip through the pages, search for words, and then you can really comment on them. These are interactive surveys where we want to get your comments and your feedback, your ideas, your thoughts on each of these policy frameworks. So in these policy framework surveys, you can click anywhere to leave a comment. All you then need to do is then type your name, your email address, and your comment in there. We can log those all within the framework. So if you have an idea that's not reflected, you think we missed something that you want to get in there, you have a question about one of the statements in the frameworks, you can type all of those things in there. And then you can also interact with other survey participants who are working and typing in those policy framework surveys. So you can kind of like and dislike those comments. You can vote them up and down. You can kind of interact with them, also comment on their comments as well. So a good way to help kind of create some conversation within these online surveys. So tonight, what we're going to do is, again, we're going to make this kind of like an open house. So many of you have probably been to one. So we're going to I'm going to shut the Zoom off. You're going to be able to go into different breakout rooms with each of these topics. And you're going to be able to go and talk to a project team member who helped to draft some of those policy ideas that are embedded in those policy frameworks and talk to them and ask them questions. They'll direct you to where these surveys, policy framework surveys are online, and allow you to really kind of engage with one another. Here are some links. Here we'll drop those links into the chat for you all. So the project website is listed on there as well. We have an open house guide, so you can kind of take a look at which room is which room, kind of talks a little bit about it. So it's kind of like a handout, so you can look at which topics are addressed in each of the different rooms. There's a link to the particular policy frameworks where you can go and start commenting on those as you talk to our team members and facilitators. And before we send you off all into those breakout rooms, we would love it if you could just complete our participation poll, which we'll also put in the chat. Like all of our community meetings that we've been doing throughout this process and surveys, we are asking people for some basic information about themselves, both demographic and socioeconomic characteristics, so that we get a better sense of who is participating in the process, so we can report that out as we go through. So when you get into those breakout rooms, everyone knows these rules of engagement, but just a quick reminder, make sure to be a good listener, welcome all viewpoints and respect people's different opinions, show courtesy in those meetings and respect to each of the other participants in the air, and make sure to share the air. We can often start talking, I do it myself quite a lot, and we often forget to listen to others and their ideas as well. So make sure we allow other people to participate as well. And then make sure to honor everybody's time. So make sure that everyone gets some time at the mic, so to speak, get to ask questions and have a discussion in each of those rooms. I'll throw this up here. This is contact information for advanced planning. You'll get Lauren, I think, if you call these numbers and send an email to these address. She introduced us all this evening. But please, if you have general questions about the project, feel free to get in touch with her. All right. And so with that, I'm just going to put this last slide back up. I'm going to leave it up for a while so that everyone has access to this information. And at this point, we can start moving you into the individual breakout rooms.